This biography of Tennessee Williams begins on the opening night of the Glass Menagerie. When the curtain finally came down on the Broadway opening of the Glass Menagerie, the audience knew that some kind of theater history had been made. The cast took 24 curtain calls. Within a month of the play's opening, V.E. Day brought an end to the war in Europe, and President Franklin Delano Roosevelt died. Fueled by longing and by loss, the Republic, which had deferred its dreams through 15 years of depression and 5 years of war, assumed seemingly overnight a new momentum, a glorious and guilt-ridden race for its own survival. In the next decade, American per capita income would triple, the greatest growth of wealth in the history of Western civilization. Inevitably, given such enormous social and economic change, the American consciousness also underwent a sort of mutation. Everything was up for grabs, Arthur Miller said. They were all for number one. The death of Roosevelt was a major blow to the psyche of the country. The father was dead. It meant that the axis of concentration turned violently and very quickly away from the society to the self. He added, it was a difference in the idea of the individual. With its combination of exhaustion and exhilaration, the Glass Menagerie looked both backward and forward in time, both outward and inward. Its romantic posture, its debate between self-sacrifice and self-interest, perfectly captured the nation's mood. The characters in Glass Menagerie are born of the scarcity and the stasis of the pre-war 30s, not the buoyant post-war 40s. But through its resilient narrator, hell-bent on seizing his life and finding his personal fulfillment, the play pointed toward accidental but transcendent survival. Overcomes selfishness, Amanda hectors Tom, who in the end embraces it. The garish sexual, emotional, and spiritual struggles of the individual, what Walt Whitman called the destiny of me, were the focus of Williams's concerns. The self-involvement that made Williams's plays inaccessible to a wartime audience, now in peacetime, made them resonant. In the Glass Menagerie, Amanda's first full sentence is about grace. We can't say grace until you come to the table, she calls to Tom. Grace is again invoked as the gentleman caller sits down to break bread with Laura and the rest of the family. I think we may have grace now, Amanda says. But grace is granted at the finale only to the narrator, Tom Wingfield. Haunted, restless, guilt-ridden, searching for a truth that keeps him in perpetual motion, he is released by the luck of talent into the world, no longer earthbound, but airborne by his imagination. Through his literary ability, as the interior pantomime of Amanda and Laura at the finale demonstrates, Williams's storytelling is the act of grace, redeeming his life and the lives of others with a meaning and a beauty that feels like blessing. With the success of the Glass Menagerie, that long-delayed something that Williams lived for, the time when I could first catch and hold an audience's attention, had arrived. The hubbub of Williams's new life began almost immediately. He was photographed by Vogue in broody profile with a raincoat over his shoulder. He was interviewed by the New Yorker's Talk of the Town. Within a week, with his royalties estimated at $1,000 a week, he was complaining to the Times about the burdens of the American tax system. I guess I'm getting spoiled, he told the reporter. That's the second time in my life I've ordered a room service. Embossed invitations went out, inviting Williams's newfound society to meet Miss Edwina Williams, Miss Laurette Taylor, and the Reverend Walter Dakin over tea and cocktails at Sherry's. This is the twilight of an era in the theater, Williams had written a friend in 1943. God knows what's coming next. The answer, as it turned out, was him.